Welcome to Mesquite Gardens podcast, where wellness blossoms and we sow the seeds of holistic health one conversation at a time. My name is Porsha and I'm the founder of Mesquite Garden, and today I have the pleasure of talking about successful manifesting with Marlene Sugey. Before we begin, quick disclaimer, please note that this podcast is for informational and educational purposes only. The content shared here is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any medical condition and should not be considered a substitute for professional medical advice. Always consult a qualified healthcare provider before making any significant changes to your diet, lifestyle, or health practices. Now let's nurture wellness and grow together one conversation at a time. Well, hello, hello. Thank you so much, Marlene, for joining me here. We are going to be talking about successful manifesting today. So I'm super, super excited to have you on and share all of your lovely expertise on the topic. In addition to talking about successful tips on manifesting and creating our reality, we'll also be going into just briefly on the Gateway Experience tapes and what my experience has been, because they have been very impactful for me on my growth. And so we'll talk about that a little bit in the end. But for now, let's get into it and introduce Marlene Sugey. Thank you so much for being here. Yeah, so I want you to tell our guest a little bit about your journey and how you ended up here.
Well, my journey started back in 2017. Before that, I was working in healthcare. I was surgical tech at labor and delivery unit, and that's how I actually met Porsha. But I was just living my regular life, had my career, had all the things going that you people consider successful. I was in a 14-year relationship that ended up ending suddenly, and that's when I felt like my whole reality shattered, and I was faced with making a decision of what I was gonna do. And after that, I felt like I was, even though I wasn't doing it intentionally, but I was seeking for more. I knew there was something more than what I had experienced my whole life. And it wasn't until a friend recommended a book to me called The Return to Love by William and Marianne Williamson, and she recommended this book to me. Even before that, I've never really been a reader or into personal development. And after reading that book, it completely changed the perspective of the relationship that I was in, and it gave me a reason of why I was even experiencing all of that. So I took that book and I took like a mini vacation. I went to go visit my friend in Virginia, and I brought that book with me, and I read the whole book within a week. And after that, I started experiencing like just changes just in my mindset. I started looking at things differently. I started getting more peace in myself, that I knew that this all of this was happening for me, not at me. And once I came back at the door of manifestation is when I was introduced into the world of manifestation. I started listening to Abraham Hicks, and through her is when I was introduced into what manifestation was, and that's when I started digging deeper into what it was, how to do it. And I took about a year just doing a lot of research and looking into what personal development was, how to shift my mindset, how to manifest the reality that I wanted. Through my relationship ending, I was going through a lot of financial difficulties. I was struggling through that, as well as getting over a breakup, and how difficult that can be. So doing a lot of the work that I was doing on myself and seeing the changes that I was going through, and just seeing the opportunities that were coming up for me as I was doing this work, is what inspired me to really dig deeper into this and start talking about it. So eventually, after seeing all the changes happening, all the opportunities happening for me, I was introduced into neuro linguistics programming, which is NLP. And that's where my journey pretty much started when it came to coaching. So I got certified as a master trainer as well as NLP practitioner. And now that's what I do with my clients. I help them rewire their subconscious mind in order for them to be able to manifest what they want in their lives, since 95% of our reality is manifested through our subconscious mind. So that's the type of work I dig deeper with my clients and help them do, so they're able to manifest the reality that they want.
I love that. And so you were just saying overall, like you said, you focused a little bit on the subconscious mind and how literally that is the key to successful manifesting. Can you tell our listeners a little bit more about why that's such a vital part in successful manifesting?
Yeah, when I was digging deeper into manifestation, like I was doing a lot of the superficial things that's like affirmations. I was doing them even though I didn't really understand why they worked. I was just like, okay, I know affirmations work. I have to like rewire my subconscious even though I didn't really like know what that meant. But it wasn't until I invested it on a course that taught me exactly what manifestation is, and that's when I was introduced into NLP. And what NLP is and the subconscious mind is like 95% of our reality is manifested through our subconscious mind. So from the age of 0 to 7, our subconscious mind is like a sponge. So it's absorbing everything that we're experiencing, and that's beliefs from our parents or from anybody that's a major influence in our lives, or any type of traumas that you're going through. So from the age of 0 to 7, you're just absorbing all this information. And then when you get about to like about 8 years old, that's when your conscious mind kind of kicks in, and then you just start replaying all these programs over and over and over again until you become aware of them and change it. So in order for you to create any type of change in your life, you have to dig deeper into what is in your subconscious mind, what beliefs do you have that support what you're manifesting. So if you have, say for example, you have issues or trouble with like finances, that's because there's a belief within you that feels that whatever you're manifesting, that's the belief that you think that you're worthy of. So in order for you to change any of that, and why it's so important with manifestation, is because since 95% of your reality is created through your subconscious mind, to dig deeper into rewiring that, then you have to go in and change those beliefs, change anything that doesn't align with the things that you want to manifest. And then that sets a stronger foundation for you to now vibrate at a higher frequency that aligns to the things that you want. And then the opportunities and the things that you're manifesting will come in so much easier than fighting, your subconscious mind with beliefs that don't align with it, and then it just makes it so much harder to manifest anything.
Absolutely. I completely agree. And I think that's why it's so important for us and our listeners to practice mindfulness in their everyday life, doing it as much as possible, not just, of course, the conscious, subconscious meditating is its own thing, but being mindful and getting our brains into practicing, for example, washing the dishes and focusing completely on washing the dishes and not allowing for your mind to be monkey minding. When you're focused on something and your thoughts are actually where what your hands and the energy that you're putting out are all connected, that's when you're starting to train and heighten that subconscious mind part.
Right. Like the subconscious mind is like you have your conscious mind, which is your thinking mind, which that's it's only 5% of how you create, how you show up in your life. It's only 5% of it. Everything else is a program. So when you're, like you said, when you're doing something and you're focused on it, you're putting all your energy into that one thing, which it pretty much powers it. It powers whatever you're doing. It gives it energy, and what you focus on expands. So that's why it's so important that when you're doing or you're creating or you're manifesting something, for you to have practices where you're constantly focusing on the thing that you want, to give it energy, to power it in order for it to manifest. And the more you think about it, because your subconscious mind thinks in pictures, it doesn't think in words or
Mm-hmm.
in any of that. So if you're focusing on it, if you're visualizing it, your subconscious doesn't know what's real from what's imaginary, like what you're imagining. What your the subconscious is going to do is going to start now bringing in situations, opportunities, things that support the visualization that you're doing or the things that you're focusing on. So that's how you bring it into your reality.
Yeah. And like you said, visualizing with your manifestations, it basically skyrockets what it is that you're trying to create into your reality because that is the way your subconscious mind already operates.
Yeah.
So, what manifesting techniques, given with what you just explained, can they start off with to start building? Because it really is a practice. It will be a practice for the rest of our life. What are some of the easier steps that you think people can start with?
I think one of the things that you can start with is meditating. I think meditating is very important. Even when I first started, I didn't understand exactly what meditating did for me. But now that obviously I've been, more deeper into this work and I've been doing this for so long, meditation really helps you create a gap between the cycle that you're playing in your head and the program that's playing in your mind, and gives you a space for you to stop that program and focus on what you're manifesting, or what you're wanting to bring into your life. And that's the space where things are created. And if you're looking to start like a manifestation practice, I highly suggest like meditation and visualization will be one of the things that I put as like my number one, to visualize yourself already having the things that you want, because that's what's going to help you rewire the subconscious mind for you to start reprogramming everything.
Yeah. So let's walk our listeners through what that could look like as far as meditating for manifesting. We're in January of 2025 trying to manifest better, healthier eating. What would be something as far as, okay, it's time for me to sit down? How would that look for you?
Yeah, I would find a space where you're not going to be bothered for like 10, 15 minutes, depending how how long you want to manifest. If this is something that you're just starting, it does tend to be a little bit more difficult to quiet the mind. So it might take you a little bit to get to 10 minutes or 15 minutes, but even if you do it for 3 minutes, just starting is what's important. So sitting down, finding a quiet place, and just focusing on your breathing is one way that takes your mind off of like what's happening and what's going on, and you want it with when it comes to your health, to your eating. What a day in your life, how would that look like for you? Like, what are you, like, how, when you're waking up, what are you doing? What are you focusing on? What are you eating? What are your habits? So I would just go through a whole day in my mind, just visualizing everything that I'm doing, everything that I'm implementing into now my new lifestyle that I'm living, and imagining myself in that and feeling the feelings of already having it. I think that's what's really important of when it comes to like visualization. It's actually not just imagining it, but feeling it as well. So I would just visualize myself already having everything I want, living the life that I want, feeling how it feels already having it. And then I would try to keep myself in that feeling as long as possible. And then, finish it with you just focusing on your breath again, and then, opening your eyes and just kind of grounding yourself after that. I would journal as well after you're done meditating, just to kind of like write down all your thoughts and what came up for you. If there's anything that you noticed that was coming up that that you need to work on, like any type of limited beliefs, because then that pretty much is telling you exactly what you need to focus on, and then you can work on that specifically. But that's how I would do it if you were just starting a meditation practice.
Yeah, yeah, I absolutely agree. And I think meditating, it's always talked about. Everybody talks about doing it. First of all, I remember 4 years ago being like, no, I can't meditate. Like, there's no way that all of the voices that are going on in my head are gonna cooperate and not think. Yeah. And so I had a really hard time just doing it because I was so convinced that I couldn't do it. And then, of course, I got to the point where I'm like, let me do it. And for me, it was very hard. It was very, very hard because my mind is just never off. It is never, ever off. I don't know that it ever has been off in its entirety of existence. What really worked for me in the beginning was guided meditations. I needed that prompt of body scanning, of imagining, gratefulness, and
Yeah.
think of this and think of that. And so for me, I did start heavily with guided meditations just to kind of get into it because I could not stop my brain from monkey minding. And then once I started to do that, I realized I really, really enjoyed binaural beats and listening to basically sound healing frequencies during my meditations. And I found that while I was listening to frequency healing during my meditations, I was able to have a lot more of the same visuals that I would have when I am working with psilocybin and journeying. And so that was, oh, okay, I like that. And so then from there, as time went on, that was what my whole point of meditating was, to clear the mind, was to start to control and more so believe that I could actually quiet those voices in my head. And so once I started to do that, that's great. But I didn't feel like that was manifesting anything. It was manifesting quieting the voices in my head. Nothing else was coming from it because all I was thinking about was not thinking. And so I have always, my entire life, just been naturally amazing at manifesting. I have always been that person of this is what I want and I'm going to stop at nothing until I get it. And so not until 4 years ago did I even realize that that was like part of my makeup. And so it just made things easier for me. Well, when I really started to say, hey, these are the things that I want, for example, I need to leave my job. I need to find land to buy. I need to build a house. I need to XYZ, whatever it is. For me, like you said, journaling, I have journals all over the place. I have notepads all over the place, and I am constantly writing down what it is that I am manifesting from the day to the week to the months, whatever it is. I'm writing everything down. I love to check things off. And so that is part of it. So now, when I am actually manifesting to create or meditating to manifest, I have developed a ritual essentially of how, I do that. Like you said earlier, energy is everything. Energy is really the drive of manifesting.
When
And
you understand that everything's energy, that gives you a better
exactly.
perspective of like why meditation works and how manifestation actually works too. So it's like you said, everything's it's energy because there's so many ways to meditate. Not necessarily you have to sit down and actually just quiet your mind. You can meditate walking. There's times that that I couldn't just sit down or stay still, so I would just go out for a walk, and that will be like meditating. But I would be very intentional instead of letting my mind just run wild. I'll be very focused on the things that I was like working on, like working on myself, working, on my business, working on the things that I was bringing into my life. So
Yeah.
if you're having issues when it comes to like actually sitting down and quieting your mind, maybe trying a different form of meditating and like going for a walk and just being, like I said, just being intentional with what you're focusing on while you're
Yeah.
on this walk.
Yeah, I exactly. And that's like you said, the energy factor is everything, the feeling factor. And that is why I know wholeheartedly my manifestations come to reality is because my feelings. So I have that gift of just this like energy and feeling. And so I have developed this ritual for manifesting because otherwise I think that there's so many types of meditating, what you're meditating for. And well, clearing your mind is such a practice to for your health, for all of those things, manifesting and creating. I have gotten so much more success by actually really focusing, like we said, journaling what it is that I'm doing. I work with the phases of the moon because of the energy that we know the moon brings, whatever's going on astrologically. I bring those things in. I manifest and follow the cycles. I burn things and give it to the universe. Those are all things that I do because I believe that they work. And that's the first major part is that I believe they work. And then I, like you said, visualize as though it's already happening. The farm right now, the build of the kitchen and the greenhouse and the barn. Like as I'm talking to you, I see it. It's popping up, pop, pop, pop. I see the colors, I see the art, I see the education. And so with that, within a few seconds, I start to feel it. I start to feel that excitement and that gratitude. And I will even allow myself to come to tears of joy. And that's when I know that the universe is receiving what I'm putting out, and it will start to cycle back in tenfold because not only what I'm trying to manifest is for myself, but it is for the greater good and it is for the service of others. And therefore, when you are giving back to not just yourself, but to others, the universe responds so much faster.
Yeah.
And so I just think that, as listeners, as you guys are getting into, again, it's 2025, what do you want to manifest this year? Write those things down and be detailed, and then meditate on them every single day and visualize that. And you will definitely get a response for sure
Yeah.
from the universe.
And one thing that I do want to kind of clarify that we're always manifesting. Like our reality is it's a manifestation of what you have, what beliefs you have, what subconscious programming you have. So everything that we're talking about is when you're intentionally trying to manifest a certain reality for you. And so it's like if you're already manifesting and you don't like certain results that you have or any like in particular areas of your life, you can change that, because it's already a manifestation. So it's not like something that you have to learn how to do. You're already doing it. So you
Mm-hmm.
just have to learn how to be intentional about what you're manifesting. And everything that we've been talking about, like the meditating and journaling and doing all these practices or rituals, is just a way for you to get intentional with what you actually want and have clarity on the type of reality that you're creating for yourself. Because a lot of people, especially, I've been doing this, I've been coaching for a couple of years now, and one of the questions that I always ask my clients at first is like, okay, what do you want? And it's so interesting that a lot of people don't even know what they want.
Mm-hmm.
So that how can you manifest something that you don't even know, what you're manifesting? So giving your subconscious mind a clear map of what you want is what's going to help you create the reality that you want.
Yeah, I agree. Algorithms are so important. And maybe it's because we come from a hospital setting. And so we're like step, 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 step. But even for, I think you and I are similar in the sense that we like to see progress quickly. We
Right.
want to see what the actions that we just took, what it's coming from that. And I do know that when you set your manifestations up in steps, you reaching that first goal is so much faster. Not to mention, like you said, the clarity is so important because the universe can't decipher everything. If you're not clear, it's going to give you what you asked for. It just might not be exactly what you asked for. Not that long ago, I was joking and going through one of my own little emotional episodes. And I was like, I just want to be treated like a baby. Like sometimes I just want to be taken care of. Like, I don't want to be an adult sometimes. And later that day, I swear on my life, I like started to choke on a grape. And I felt that I was not clear with my manifestation as far as
Yeah.
like what type of baby I needed to act like or be treated. It was so funny. I was just talking about like transcending, and we talked about the guided meditations and stuff. And so some of the things that, like I said, I really do believe that there's so many good apps out there that people can download free. YouTube is unlimited. You can, get all on YouTube and find
Yeah,
all sorts
YouTube.
of great, yeah, all sorts of great guided meditations. But one of the things that I recently started to do over the last month or month and a half was the Gateway Experience tapes. And I know I had sent them to you a little while ago. And you said you haven't started them yet. But a little bit about the Gateway Experience tapes. So these are audio tapes that were developed by the Monroe Institute back in the 70s. And it was created to expand consciousness and unlock your mind's potential through the HemiSync technologies. So basically, you wear headphones, they need to be wired, these AirPods wouldn't work. And while you're listening to these guided experience tapes, they're putting in different frequencies in different ears at the same time, which then basically relay to your brain at a lower frequency. So I think depending on what their frequencies are, it's
Mm-hmm.
getting your brain to like a frequency of 4. And then basically, this allows you to achieve these altered states of consciousness. It allows you to explore more self discovery, your intuition, your problem solving. It is very well known to allow for out of body experiences or remote viewing, and then, of course, creating and manifesting. And so I went super deep dive. I was like on TikTok, I was on YouTube, I was chat GBTing, I was all over. Like, let me look into these gateway experience tapes because one, I wanted to make sure that whatever I was going to be doing was going to be a clean entity. I didn't want to be jumping into something that is potentially welcoming any level of negativity into my mindset. And so really wanted to go into that. And the reason that I went down to double check on it is because I had originally found out about these types through watching some things going on with the CIA. And the CIA actually had got a hold of these tapes from the Monroe Institute for a long time. And only in, I believe it was in 2021 or 2022, did they actually release them as well as the workbook accessible for the public to
Mm-hmm.
have. And so anytime the CIA is involved in anything, I'm like, hold the phone, let's double check, Um,
Well, even with
but
manifestation, they talk about how to manifest and how to astral project and all these things that you're talking about. They
yeah,
also have, I think I posted it on my Instagram a while ago, but it gives you literally a step by step in how to create your reality. And they're talking about manifestation. So they've been aware of this for a
for
long
sure.
time.
And keeping it from us
Yeah.
because they don't want that. Who wants an entire population to expand their consciousness and realize that we are essentially living in a matrix for other people to control us so they can live a better life. But yeah, so I ended up going down, went through, went and found, like I said, I downloaded the workbook, I read the whole workbook. Within this workbook, there were even codes that you can chant or mantra to relieve pain. For example, and don't quote me on the exact code that I'm giving you because the workbook is not in front of me. But for pain relief, it's like chant the code 55515
Mm-hmm.
repeatedly while you're thinking about that specific area of pain reducing in the magnitude of pain that you're feeling. And so just how all these things are through codes and the way that your breath works, or even the way that you are exerting energy through actual breathing techniques. I watched or I listened to all of the tapes before I actually went into meditation. So I was playing it while I was working and doing stuff because, like I said, I wanted to know that, let's just say an hour into one of these tapes, I'm not going to be in a hypnosis like state and or asleep and then have some crazy negative, chant or something coming into my brain. I wanted to make sure I knew what was on all of these tapes before I started to listen to them and potentially fall asleep or something. So anyways, once I cleared them and I was like, all right, they're good, I did start listening, and my first experience with it was amazing. I was completely mentally coherent and aware and alert within my brain state, but my whole body was like sleep paralysis. Couldn't feel my arms, couldn't feel my legs. And we got to that point over a series of it really was more like hypnosis while I'm listening to the tapes. Cause it's like, I'm going to snap my fingers and then you're going to be in this state and whatnot. It was just super interesting to really feel my brain and my body separate and be like, I cannot feel my body, and almost even go through almost like that panic state of like, open your eyes. Where are you? Like, where am I actually laying? And so that was so intriguing. And then I continued. And like I said, you hear the different tones, you feel your body. The more I do it, the better I am at it. I've always had lucid dreaming. Now, of course, sometimes I'm lucid dreaming more often than other times, depending on what's happening in my life. But with these gateway experience tapes, the level of lucid dreaming that I'm having, I am even getting mixed up with like, was that a dream or did that actually happen?
Yeah.
And so journaling has been very, very, very important since I've been doing these, because I do feel like I have to journal what took place, almost even in order for me to make sure I know, like, this was part of my dream or my meditation, and this is the current reality state that I'm living.
Yeah, I wonder if the reason why, because I would just before we started the podcast, I was sharing with Porsha that I'm in Sedona right now. I'm in Sedona, Arizona. And if you're familiar with Sedona, Sedona is known to have like portals that are like negative portals that they expand your consciousness and frequency and all of that. But even since I got here, I've been having very vivid dreams, and even me preparing, I feel like either is preparing myself for to do these type of audios that you're talking about, just because I've been reading the workbook and I'm like, okay, I'm preparing my body, preparing my mind to get into the state where I can astral project and do all these things. So maybe this is just a sign for me to that's telling me that I'm getting myself ready to be able to do all of that, which is kind of like crazy if you think about it.
It is. I mean,
Yeah.
and it's in like the best way though, in
Yeah,
my
yeah.
opinion. I mean, I really just feel like it just sucks that growing up and the conditioning that us in the United States, like, we, with Luca, my 6 year old, we are talking about lucid dreaming. We talk, meditating. I want him to go inward. I want that self discovery. I want him to believe that he can literally create anything and everything, to believe that there's just no way that us as a human species is the most intelligent or even, most advanced or whatever. Like, I want him to believe that there is everything and anything out there that he can come up with. And I just think if all of us were given that opportunity growing up, we would obviously be so much more advanced within our own
Totally.
consciousness.
And these are
Um,
universal laws that are applied
yes,
to everybody. So the only reasons why we have to or be more intentional about it is because, like you said, for us growing up, we've been conditioned and brainwashed to be constantly in fear in order for them to be able to control us.
yeah,
And now that we're waking up and we're becoming aware that we are our creators of our reality, everything that's happening in the world, I feel like it's also a way to keep us in fear, so we don't ascend, so we don't grow as as souls that we are and creators that we are. We are powerful creators, and in the moment that we realize that, they can no longer control us, because at that
right.
point then you're manifesting your own reality that has nothing to do with the fear-based,
Their agenda.
yeah, their agenda that they're planning. And that's where I feel like where we are, especially like in these moments in time where there's so much chaos and there's so much things happening out in the world, is because they know that just Mother Gaia, the world is ascending and we're ascending with it, and they know this information, they know this is happening, so things have to kind of break down in order for the new to come in, and they're trying to still hold on to as much as control as they can. But I just feel like it's inevitable, the fact that we're heading in that direction, and it's just how fast you kind of get on this path to understand that you are a creator, you are the creator of your reality. And the sooner that you start doing these type of practices, the sooner that your life will start getting better, because at that point nobody else is controlling your life.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree with all of that. I mean, and even like everything with what you're saying on why I was like, oh, I'm going to try these gateway experience tapes is because when I was looking up the CIA stuff and I'm like, wait a minute, this 1983 report that the CIA wrote gave these tapes complete credibility and said, yes, everything these tapes said that they can do, which, expanding consciousness, allowing for remote viewing and accessing universal, consciousness was happening. And they were even using this to train their agents to spy on other countries. And I'm like, okay, great. So, yes, I will have the link to the report for the workbook in the show notes, as well as, I mean, these tapes you can access, they're all over YouTube.
I think, like you said at the beginning, is like if this is something that you're just starting off and you're just starting to do meditations, starting with guided meditations.
Yeah, well, why don't you give our listeners a little bit more about how they can get in touch with you, what you can do for them, as far as if they're interested in working with you to help their manifestations. And
Yeah, I mean NLP, like, and the reason why is I base my whole coaching off of it, because it's rewiring your subconscious mind, just like we talked about earlier. That's what's helping you manifest. So with everything that I do, there's just different techniques that I use with clients, and that I put into, like, I'm in the process of launching my masterclass that I'm redoing and all of that, and I have specific techniques within the course that help you start rewiring your subconscious mind. So that's all what NLP is just rewiring of your subconscious mind. It's the program that you have. So the way that you can get a hold of me, I'm usually on Instagram, which is at the Marlene Sugey, and I do go live on TikTok as well. The handle is the same. But if you're interested, I'm doing this type of work. That masterclass that I'm launching soon is the basics of what you need to get started. So it gives you my 4-step process, which is creating getting clear on what you want, and then reprogramming, releasing your limited beliefs. What is it that's keeping you from actually manifesting what you want in your life? Then reprogramming your subconscious mind with beliefs that actually align with what you're creating. And the last one will be embodiment, how to embody the new you already living the life that you want. But that's within my program as well. Like, I am going to be adding 3 hypnosis audios that will help you do all of that work. And I know hypnosis might have, like, a lot of people either get scared of hypnosis or excited about it, but all hypnosis is just is relaxing your conscious mind to allow the new suggestions and new beliefs to be embedded into your subconscious mind. And you're fully awake the whole time. It's just like a deep meditation. So it's not like at any point you're not going to have any type of control of your body. You're aware of it. And it just allows you to just relax your mind. So everything that's being suggested with the audio, it will help you start embodying and rewiring those beliefs that you have within your subconscious mind to allow you to set a new foundation for yourself. So now you start manifesting from that new beliefs and start getting rid of the old beliefs that are not supporting your manifestation.
Perfect. Yeah. And I'll put your website in the show notes as well so they can find you there. And yeah, again, thank you so much for joining us today and coming on. And I am just super excited to get all this manifesting going for the rest of the year. We have so
Yes.
much coming up. And you guys, Marlene will be joining us going back to Mexico over the Day of the Dead to have a holistic Day of the Dead retreat at the House of Aya. And it was phenomenal this past year. We can't wait to get back. So if you guys are interested, I'll also put the link down to get in on the retreat. But other than that, you guys, thank you so much for listening, and we will catch you on the next episode. Thank you again for joining us on the Mesquite Garden podcast, where we grow wellness one conversation at a time. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, like, and share. And if you're not already doing so, come follow us on the major socials at Mesquite Garden. Have a great day and see you guys next Wednesday.